All right, I think we have all of our panelists here. Hello, everyone. Happy evening. My name is Dr. Irish, Justin Irish, and I am proud to serve as your superintendent for the Anacortes School District. And we are really glad you're here this evening to learn about our kindergarten program and about entering kindergartners for this next school year. Just a little bit of nuts and bolts first and foremost. If you could please use the question and answer, the Q&A section of the webinar, that would allow all panelists to see your questions and to hear the answers or to see the answers as well, instead of the chat. If you use the chat, only the panelists can see your questions. So please use the Q&A question. So again, welcome to the Anacortes School District. Whether you are a new family who is bringing your children to the Anacortes School District, a huge welcome. Or if you have existing children already in our school district and you are enrolling a kindergartner, welcome to the Anacortes School District, or welcome to kindergarten again. Really glad to see you here. We have about 59 participants, it looks like, so this is great. We are here today to welcome you and to share an overview of our district and for you to have an opportunity to hear from our panelists, which I will introduce later on in the presentation. So this is I'm ending my first school year. I cannot believe to say that, is the superintendent for the Anacortes School District. I moved to Anacortes last May. I moved from the Seattle area. I was serving in the Edmonds community, and I am absolutely in love with the Anacortes community. This is such an amazing school system. It's an amazing community. And I have just had a great experience, even though it's been a very strange experience with COVID-19 and trying to navigate a new school system in response to COVID-19. What really stands out to me in this district, not only before I applied, but even more so as I've been here for now nearing 10 months, that this school district is a high achieving school district. And that is, I believe, because of the partnerships that we have. We have amazing staff, we have amazing community, and parents, and our students are really well prepared to enter kindergarten and have an incredible experience all the way up through post-graduation. We are a district that really believes in the whole child. We believe in not just academics, but a really well-rounded well-being, that our students are socially and emotionally prepared to enter a world once they graduate. So from early on, from pre-K all the way through our organization, there is evidence of amazing opportunities for kids to experience art, to experience music, to experience athletics, and that we really value that here in the Anacortes School District, which is, again, another reason why I really wanted to serve here. Our district has adopted recently a social emotional program called Ruler, and that is a curriculum that has really helped students to manage their emotions, support social emotional well-being, and to be intentional about the ways in which they show up and the ways in which they help others in their classroom show up to be productive community members within the classroom and the school and the community at large. So that is just an overview of the Anacortes School District. There's so much more that you will hear and learn, and I'm excited to answer any questions throughout the program as well. We're going to start off with just some nuts and bolts of really what is the enrollment process, and I'm actually going to turn this over to our team, and Anne and Danette are on the panel right now. So Anne Berard is our amazing team member at the district office who really helps our families go through the entire registration process. And then Danette Rarden is our data analysis and Skyward guru who helps us navigate all of the nuts and bolts of the actual program, of getting kids enrolled in the system, making sure that that process is running smooth. And so the two of them are a dynamic duo, and I'm going to turn it over to them to talk to you just about what the enrollment process looks like.
Thank you, Dr. Irish. Like you said, my name is Anne, and one of my jobs is elementary registration. So let's talk some enrollment here. So enrollment is open for K through 12 for the 21-22 school year for grades K through 12. The registration process is all done online through our district website at asd103.org. You can see on your screen. The online portal has interactive instructions, so it should make it easy to navigate through the enrollment process. There are a couple of required documents that we will need upon registration. One is a birth certificate or a passport, and this is to verify age at the beginning of the school year. The second one is important. It's called a CIS form. Or a certificate of immunization status. The rules have changed, the law has changed, and in this case, we need all immunizations to be medically verified by a doctor. And so all of the immunization records turned into the schools are required by the state law to be medically verified. Immunization records must be turned into the school on or before the first day of September. So here are just some examples of medically verified immunization records. The CIS can be printed by a healthcare provider or school from the Washington State Immunization Information System. A CIS form can also be downloaded from MyIR, that's MYIR, and it's a free Department of Health online tool that allows families to view and print their official immunization records. So you would register with them and then print it out and upload it into the portal as you're registering. You can also fill out handwritten CIS and then have your medical records attached to that. So there's a couple of different ways that this can happen, and you can access your child's immunization records from the link on the slide here. The third and final thing that we need, if it is applicable, is a custody or guardianship paperwork, and that can also be uploaded at time of registration. You can scan these documents to me, or you can scan them to me, or you can take a picture and just upload them from your phone into the portal. So yeah, that's just about it for the registration. If you have any questions, my email and my phone number is down at the bottom. Don't hesitate to reach out. I'm happy to help with any questions if you're stuck getting.
Oh, you muted yourself.
Sorry. There we go. Okay, so what I was saying is just don't hesitate to reach out. I'm happy to help.
Great, thank you, Anne.
Absolutely.
All right, next we have our amazing nurse, Emily Wade. Emily is here to talk to you just about our general health protocols and give you an update around the support that we offer here. She's also just been an amazing support this year as we've been navigating this bringing students back during COVID-19 and making sure that we are working alongside and have a strong collaborative culture with the Department of Health and Skagit County Public Health. So Emily, I'm going to turn it over to you. Thanks for being here tonight.
Sure. Hi, everyone. As part of the enrollment process, you will be asked to identify any health or medication needs that your child may have. And you can upload or attach or explain any particulars for your student. We will review that information on the back end. Our nursing team, we have 3 nurses, and we will review that information And we may follow up with you for clarification or just finding out more information about how we can support your student at school. I do have my contact information up on the screen. If you have any questions or if your student has significant health needs that you want to discuss sooner, we can certainly arrange a time to meet or a phone call, but we will review any health needs that are submitted as part of the enrollment process.
Thank you, Emily. So as I'm sure all of you are aware, we have three elementary schools, three great elementary schools in our district. We have Fidalgo Elementary, Island View Elementary, and Mount Erie Elementary. And with those three elementary schools come an amazing group of teachers, paraeducators, and other staff, as well as three dynamic, outstanding principals who are here today to talk with you as well. So to meet our principals, we've got Kevin Schwartz, who is the principal at Mount Erie. We have Dr. Tara Dowd, who's the principal at Fidalgo Elementary, and Brian Hannaran, who is the principal at Island View Elementary. So I'm going to go ahead and turn this over to Kevin Schwartz, who's here to talk to you about what to expect at the beginning of the school year.
Thank you, Dr. Irish. And I just wanted to say, you know, this is the second year in a row where we've had to do this event on Zoom, and I really miss the opportunity to see everybody in person and get to know everyone a little bit better. So this is a challenge for us too, but thank you for being here on what is clearly a beautiful evening. We're going to just give you a quick update on what the beginning of the school year looks like for kindergarten, because it is a little bit different than if you have kids in the older grades. Kindergarten will start 3 days later than the rest of the district. And that provides an opportunity to go to the school and meet the classroom teacher one-on-one. So it'll just be you, your child, and the teacher. And during that time, it's about a 45-minute meeting, opportunity to see the classroom, see where your child's going to be sitting, and get a little bit of the lay of the land at the school, meet the office staff and things like that. So it gives you a really nice chance to see the school when it's not full of other kindergarten kids all at the same time. And it's been something that we've been doing now for about 10 years. In addition to that 45-minute time, will be the interviews are part of something called WAKIDS. And WAKIDS is an acronym for Washington Kindergarten Inventory of Developing Skills, but it's really a chance for the teacher to get a little bit of information from you on the things your incoming kindergartner can do, and have the teacher have a chance to get to know you and any concerns or support that you may need as we kick off for the school year. So it's really a great chance for you to have a really focused conversation with your new kindergarten teacher at that time. And then again, the other things you'll be able to do is if you have busing or any of the sort of the details that happen every day, lunches and things like that, you'll be able to get all those questions answered at that time as well. So looking forward to seeing you in September.
All right, and I'm going to introduce Dr. Tara Dowd, who's here to talk to us about what learning will look like post-pandemic, which is something we are all super excited about.
Yes, I was just going to say, I'm thrilled to say it will be back business as usual post-pandemic. In fact, we are already working for getting kids back at least 4 days a week starting in May through the end of this school year. All students. So we've been doing half days, as many of you know. So we're gonna get our feet wet with that this spring, and we're looking at coming back next school year to full days, 5 days a week. Of course, we will continue to follow any Department of Health guidelines that might still be in place at that time, whether it's mask wearing or some direction about distancing. But we're just really so excited to be back next year and to, as I said, have a taste of that later this spring. And then all students in the district receive laptops, even your kindergartners. That especially came in handy this year when we had to start the year remotely. And yet, even with the plan to come back to the classroom in person full time, the teachers at all grade levels use laptops at certain times throughout the day for tools to help learning.
All right, Emily, we'll take this section.
Yeah, as Dr. Irish mentioned, we work closely with our local health jurisdictions, and so with the guidance of Washington State Department of Health and also our local Skagit County Public Health, we have created some thorough COVID safety protocols to keep our schools safe. Some of these protocols that we have are masking on all district property is required. We have daily health attestations that must be completed prior to students coming to school or getting on the bus. And we also are doing activities like lunch and recess. We are holding them safely with some social distancing and keeping classrooms together during times like that.
Thank you, Emily. All right, and now Brian Hanneran, principal of Island View Elementary.
Thank you, Dr. Irish, and good evening and welcome to the Anacortes School District. Before I go through a couple of slides, I just want to assure you what great hands your students are in the Anacortes School District. I have two sons myself who have spent their entire educational career in our school district, and I can honestly say I would trade places with each and every one of you in a heartbeat and start that journey from kindergarten all over. So welcome and enjoy this beautiful time. So in terms of some frequently asked questions, there's some information there on food services and a link that you can use to manage your students' lunch accounts. And in terms of recess, we firmly believe that recess is a vital part of your students' educational experience. Young bodies need to move and breathe fresh air. So your students will enjoy 3 recesses during the school day, 1 in the morning, 1 at lunch, and then an afternoon recess. And we know that active bodies create active minds. In terms of school start times, the elementary school day begins roughly at 9 o'clock. There has been in the past a staggering of those school times, but you can count on a general start time of about 9, 9:05, 9:10. And then in terms of early release Wednesdays, I'm so glad this item is on the slide. I think frequently parents wonder what goes on those early release Wednesdays. And I can assure you that the staff here in Anacortes is one of the most professional and collaborative staffs that I've had the privilege of working with. And on Wednesday early release days, our grade level teams get together and do a lot of planning and a lot of hard work so that your kids get the most of their time in the classroom. I'm ready for the next slide. I don't know if I can do that or.
No, I can do it for you, Brian. Thank you.
Okay, and this is, Anacortes is a little different in terms of how we place students into schools. Currently, we are a non-boundary district, but we do have a specific board policy that we use to place students in schools. And some of those criteria are listed here on the slide, like special programs that your student may need, class size and student makeup in terms of gender. That's important. Obviously, we try very hard not to separate siblings between school buildings. So that's a very important criterion that we use. And then parents and guardians, you also have an opportunity to voice a preference of school buildings. That said, as I opened with, your student is in remarkable hands at whatever school he or she is placed. One thing I just deeply respect about our staff, all our staff members in all our buildings, is how much care and love they give to our students and how much they nurture the hopes and dreams that you as parents have for your students. So we're at whatever school your student lands at, they're in good hands.
Thank you, Brian. So once you have received your building placement, which will occur in August, you will have an opportunity to go to our district website to learn what the transportation routes are. So you can identify whether or not you will be transporting your student via bus, or whether some families might choose to bring their children to school in the car. But if you're interested in transportation, once you know where your child will be placed, please go to our website and you can click on this link, and it will provide you the information about what your route is, and then you can and sign up for the info finder. If you have any questions about transportation, our director, supervisor of transportation is available to assist you, and her contact information is listed here. Her name is Karen Garrison, and that is Karen's email address as well. And she would be happy to assist you with any specific questions you have about your where you are located and how we can get you safely to school every day. Additional forms will also be mailed to you later in August, which will include our district calendar, the district handbook, transportation handbook, our free and reduced lunch applications, and that will, all of those forms will be sent to you. And you can certainly, there's some of the district calendar is already on our webpage, so you can see a draft of that that document as well. But that information will be coming as we move forward. And so a lot of the times parents have questions like, well, what can you do now? Or how can I prepare my child to be successful? And we know that you know your child best and what your child needs. And we know that there are some best practices that you can start acting on now, such as getting your child into a routine. What are the routines that you currently do in your household? How can you increase some of those responsibilities? What are some of the simple chores, consistent bedtimes, and or any other routines that your child loves, that you love to do with your child? Routine is important. We find that when kids come into kindergarten, one, they're surrounded by another large group of kids, and there is a schedule that they have to follow. And when anybody gets into a routine, it just helps us reduce anxiety, helps kids create community, and helps us to just have a successful day. The other thing that really helps is reading time every day, or as often as you can. Just 10 minutes a day helps build their competency, helps build connection, helps you just reading aloud, talking out loud about what you're reading, not just reading the words on the page, but actually looking at the photos or the pictures, talking about what you predict will happen next, getting the child creative about what he or she thinks will happen next. That will be a huge help, a huge success for your child. So those are just some two strategies And you, I know, already are doing a lot to help make sure that your child is ready, and anything we can do to support in that process, just let us know. So now we'll turn it over to any questions you might have. I see that there's already some people asking questions in the Q&A. So go ahead, and I'm going to open that up right now, but make sure to type in there any questions you have, and our team here will be here to answer them. We'll either answer them live or we'll start typing in answers as well. So how do the elementary schools differentiate themselves from each other, and what additional programs does each school offer? So I'm going to turn that over to our principals, because they've been working, they work really close together, collaborate well, and we have quite a bit of consistency from building to building. So I'll turn this over to either or any of the three principals.
I'll jump in first. I think all of us would say we try to be more alike than different. And on those PLC afternoons that Brian Hanrahan was referencing, much of that planning is done with teachers across the three elementaries. So all the second grade teachers or all the kindergarten teachers from the three elementaries plan together. And I think if you'd ask just about any parent in the district, current parent, which the best elementary school is, I can almost guarantee you it's whichever one their kids go to. So the one thing I think you should know about Fidalgo, if you're not from Anacortes, and we have a lot of people that don't know where it is and they haven't driven by. So we're not exactly in town. We're on Gibraltar Road up from Sharp's Corner, and it's a beautiful piece of property, beautiful campus. But sometimes I get the reaction, oh my gosh, it's so far away. And yet once families are there, they really grow to love it and realize it's not that much further of a drive. So if you haven't been by Fidalgo, I encourage you to drive by, bring your kids there. We have beautiful playgrounds, so bring them on a weekend and have them enjoy our playground. Maybe Brian, I know you do have a special program in terms of challenge. I don't know if you want to jump in, or Kevin.
Well, I just appreciate what Tara Dow just referenced. I think we've tried very hard over the years to look more similar than different. And yes, at Island View, we do have the district challenge program is housed here, and the district life skills program is housed here. And I think both of those programs bring a unique flavor to the school. And at the same time, I just want to reiterate that our grade level teams work very hard to ensure that a student who's at Island View, a fourth grade student at Island View, and a fourth grade student at Fidalgo and Mount Erie are really receiving the same program.
Okay, if people could go through the questions and maybe start either answering some of them live or start answering some of them in writing. Does the district have a policy that kindergarten children sit at the front of the bus? No, we do not have a policy that states that children sit at the front of the bus. Sometimes children are sitting next to their sibling in the middle of the bus. There are times that the bus driver might have assigned seating, but no, they are not sitting at the front of the bus. But there are special attention, and there's the teacher or the bus drivers go through behavior supports for students. They run a really tight ship when it comes to that bus. And so a lot of care is put into making sure that the kids have a safe ride and an enjoyable ride to school. Okay, so my son has done an unofficial preschool at home. Is there a way to address the transition process? We're doing our best to make sure he is prepared, but not necessarily doing an exact preschool regimen. Yes. So one of the the most intentional transition program that we have is what Kevin Schwartz was talking about with our WA kids. Early, school starts later for our kindergartners, so that we can actually have an opportunity for the student to see the classroom, to meet the teacher, and to support and understand the child's needs one-on-one before entering into the classroom. Principals, can you address any other ways in which that you're helping support in that transition process?
I'll just add, it's hard when you can't tell if someone's going to talk. We're not raising our hand, but what we do have is those transition forms that we will get from our private preschools in town. And that's one way that we use that information as we get kids ready for kindergarten. But really, like Dr. Irish said, if you're a parent who has been doing preschool at home, that's excellent. We're ready to have kids, whether they were in a private program at home or some other form of schooling before kindergarten. So that time when you come to meet with your kindergarten teacher will be the time that you really get a chance to share all about your new student and answer any questions that the teachers may have. And then you can ask questions there as well. So it's a really good opportunity for families to get a chance to really share and showcase their student.
Thank you, Kevin. So questions about class sizes, kindergarten class sizes, they were down last fall. I guess you're correct, Sean. Are we expecting them to be bigger this fall? We hope that we have more students enroll. This is actually a strange time for us, not knowing really, it's hard for us to predict how many families are going to actually show up on that first day of school because of this health pandemic that we're facing. So in typical years, we can predict fairly well. So we are doing our best guess right now, and we are seeing steady enrollment, and hope that we have similar enrollment as we've had in past years. Angela, you had a follow-up question about what is the approximate kindergarten class size. We try to staff to a 1:18 ratio in our kindergarten classrooms, and so that's the goal.
I'm sorry.
Go ahead, Kevin.
I was just going to say there's a couple of questions that I've read about whether Mount Airy was having kindergarten, and it's possible that there was confusion with Whitney. Whitney Early Child Center, which is on 12th and M, has historically had kindergarten programs here, and this year they don't. But Mount Airy, Island View, and Fidalgo will continue for sure to have kindergarten programs in the future. Whitney is a separate subject, but right now all three schools that are represented here tonight have kindergarten programs and will have them next year.
Great question. Okay, Anastasia and Shelley, questions about how parents, caregivers offer support to the school and classroom. Are there volunteer opportunities? Yes, there's been limited volunteer opportunities this year due to COVID, but we hope to be able to have a robust volunteer opportunities in the fall, depending, of course, on DOH guidance. So there are lots. That's another really great benefit of the Anacortes community. There are so many volunteers, so many rich opportunities. So would any of the principals like to just talk about what that has looked like in the past?
I'll jump in. Oh, go ahead, Tara.
Okay. Our classroom teachers generally really welcome classroom volunteers. I have a classroom teacher that says every day at 10 is my literacy time. If you can come and read with a student or go over sight words. So that's a common way volunteers are used. We love volunteer help in the library, and all of the 3 elementaries have a really robust PTAs. And some of the most enriching, engaging things that happen at our schools were initiated by parents and then became a tradition. Whether it's, well, my school, some parents years ago started a running club around the track at lunch recess twice a week, which became very popular, and kids over the course of the year tried to accumulate enough miles for a marathon. So, and they got a t-shirt. So that's just one example. There's examples at all of the elementaries.
Thank you, Tara. So there's a question here about the morning program at Island View that starts at 8, and is that available at other sites? I'll let Brian and others address that.
I think at this point we are hoping to have our Eagle's Nest program in the morning, but I think that will be determined with what kind of situation we are in with COVID. And I cannot speak to the other schools' morning programs.
Both Kevin and I have, ours is Falcon's Nest. I don't know what you are, Kevin, Mustang something. But before school for all grade levels, if parents needed to drop the students off a little bit earlier, there was some activities and supervision. Again, we were not able to offer that this year, so it's to be determined.
Yeah, same thing with Mount Erie. We had a program, we just called it the Mustang Morning Club, and it started at 8 o'clock. We don't have it currently right now, and certainly if we are able to offer it next year, we will. And then just a couple other things I wanted to mention in terms of volunteering in the school. Our PTAs are often, as amazing as they are often very small in the amount of people that do a lot of work. And all of our PTAs, including Mount Erie, I'm sure would love to have any people volunteer and join the PTA. And that's a really great way to know about all the different possible volunteer options that are in the schools. And I know right now, many of the PTAs are transitioning members that are on the board. And so if you're interested in doing that, certainly reach out to the individual PTAs at those schools once you get placed in the school, and they'll be able to hook you up. And then just a reminder that kindergarten is full day, if you didn't know that. So it's full day, typically in a normal year, Monday through Friday, and that will continue to be the case from now on. So then a little side note, this year's senior class at Anacortes High School is the first group of kids that went through the Anacortes School District doing full day kindergarten. So we've been doing that since this year's senior class is here. So.
Nice. All right, there's a question about whether or not it can be said if all teachers are or will be vaccinated for COVID. At this time, all staff have had the opportunity to be tested or to be vaccinated for COVID. It is personal choice. It is not required through the state of Washington or through DOH for any employee to be vaccinated. But every educator and every staff member has that opportunity to be vaccinated. And so it's not a requirement for families also to, once vaccines are available for children, it is not a requirement yet. There may be a day that the DOH will require it. So I do not see any other open questions. We have a few minutes left, so we'll wait here to see if there's any more coming through. Great question about recesses being short, or why are they short? That's actually, there's a lot of science behind that and a lot of best practice. So part of it has to do with large groups of kids in cohorts. But I'm going to turn it over to the principals because they do some intentional planning around recess and why those timeframes.
Yeah, I think that's a great question, and I appreciate it, Sean. I feel like our kids have quite an opportunity to move their bodies throughout the day. One thing I didn't mention when I talked about recess is all of the schools also offer before school recess. So kids have an opportunity to play for 25 minutes vigorously outside before the school day even begins, and then an additional 40 minutes during the school day. Additionally, there's a lot of movement that happens in an elementary school, where kids, they're in class and then they move to a specialist, and then there's lunch and there's recess and they're back in class. So there's a lot of physical movement that occurs during the school day.
Yeah, if I could just add, Brian mentioned specialists. So every day kindergartners would have, instead of the classroom teacher, a specialist teacher for a 45-minute period, leading them in either PE or dance movement or music. So they have that specialist period daily.
Great question about Since Time Immemorial curriculum. Since Time Immemorial curriculum, for those of you who don't know, it is a curriculum designed by our local tribal communities that's authored by and is part of, it's a requirement from the state and an agreement we have with our local tribal communities. We have a great partnership with Samish Nation and we are building out what Since Time Immemorial looks like across our entire organization. So that there is a plan. We have training for teachers across all grade levels, and that's going to be built out over the years. So there will be moments of that in the curriculum. In kindergarten, but it's not fully implemented in our school system yet, and we hope that it will be. So your children from kindergarten through 12th grade will have access to that curriculum over the years. And very excited about building us a really strong collaborative culture with the Samish Nation.
There's a question there about what is a typical kindergarten day? Actually, a couple of them. So maybe it's to truncate a 6.5 hour day into a 2-minute response. We have something called Ruler, which I think is really important. I know it was at the beginning of this presentation as well. And Ruler is something that was designed out of Yale, and it is our social emotional curriculum. So every day, really all of our kids in the elementary schools typically start out their day with a ruler, a greeting. They do a classroom meeting. They go over how they're feeling. They talk about the day, how that's going to look. And they really get into their day, and it goes pretty quickly. Once they get to school, between that time and recess, they'll be working with their teacher in their classroom. And then they'll, like Mrs. Dowd said, they'll then go to a specialist at some point during the day. They'll have lunch, recess, and then again, another recess in the afternoon before they go home. And all the time in between there is, for the most part, in their classroom working with their teacher, with the exception of the time they'll go to a specialist, and that again would be PE, music, or movement. And they cover all the subjects, which would be reading, literacy, math, social studies, ruler work, which is a social emotional curriculum. So. And as far as typically they don't have homework, they might have very small amounts of work that they'll take home, but it's pretty minimal if they do.
So, Jennifer, you're asking great questions about just protocols around what normal will look like. We are still working with, the Department of Health is creating guidelines as we speak. Those should be coming out hopefully within the next couple of weeks for us to help plan what school, what the new normal will look like in the fall. But, we predict that playgrounds will be available. There will be toys in the classroom and or learning tools in the classroom. We will be making sure that kids are still likely to be cohorted so that they're not interfacing with other groups, but we'll see what the DOH guidance says about that for the fall. It's likely that there will be masks next year as well, and mask break opportunities. I'm not quite sure yet what that would look like. That has not yet been determined. Field trips is not yet to be determined either. We hope that that will happen. It just, again, will depend on the DOH guidance. So we are doing, we are required to follow whatever guidance they set. So that information will be coming out hopefully soon. Katie, great question about whether or not students transfer between schools. Typically, yes, a student would start at one school and finish at the same school. However, there might be times that a student is transferred. So would someone like to address those reasons?
I can, Dr. Irish. So this is Shannon Gilbert. I'm the Director of Inclusive Services, and it tends to involve, when these types of things happen, there are some times where there might be special programs that are available in one building that aren't available in another. There was talk of Challenge earlier. That's for, it's a program available at Island View at the elementary level for some students that just have some different needs. We also have some self-contained special education classes that are available there that we don't have in other buildings. So it's always a team decision that's happening. The building itself won't just decide by themselves, oh, we don't want, Johnny to be in this building anymore. We're just going to move him over to this one. It's always a conversation that takes place with the family, and the family is a part of that discussion and helps determine where the best fit would be based on the student's individual needs.
All right. Is there a required school supplies list? Principals.
We've had in place last couple of years consistent supply lists for kindergarten, first, second, third, so that parents can access that before they might know which school their child is placed in. There's a consistent kindergarten supply list. This year, because of COVID, we did a little differently and provided those materials. I'm thinking we may be in a different place next year, and kids will be able to bring their own. But yes, there'll be a supply list posted probably by the end of the school year. And Tor will just put the link up of what that looked like this year.
So Luke, you had a question about orienting students to the bus. There is not the opportunity to orient the kids to the bus system, partly due to we don't have all of the buses up and running prior to school beginning. But there is ways, there are routines set into place that are taught in the classroom and by the school. So I'll turn that over to the principals to talk about how do schools prepare students to understand the routines for sitting on the bus, entering the bus, leaving the bus, all of that.
We have a couple of things, and I can't speak for Island View and Fidalgo, but I'm sure they have a similar process. If the question here is, what's the process to get them from the bus to the classroom? And I'm imagining you're concerned that your 5-year-old's going to be getting off a bus and not know where to go. We have all hands on deck every day at school with our staff outside at the buses, as well as where kids get dropped off from cars. and we make sure that they get to their classroom. So we have eyes on every single section of the school. And if a student gets to school, we make sure that they get walked to a classroom if they need to. After a couple of days, they get the hang of where they're supposed to go. And it's not an issue anymore. But it's really the same thing at the end of recess. They don't often know how to get back to the classroom. So we have as many staff members out as we can, making sure that your children know how to get from the bus to their classroom, and they're supervised while they're doing that. And I think that was that question, but make sure I answered it. We have safety drills where the kids are taken onto the bus and they're shown how to get off the bus if there was an emergency. And then the bus drivers often do those trainings really early in the school year to help all the kids understand what the expectations are on the bus.
And I was going to add, for kindergarten, it's required when kids are dropped off in the afternoon at their bus stop that the parent is there waiting for them, or else the driver won't let them off of the bus. There is a workaround, something you can sign if there's special circumstances. But otherwise, we do require that parents are there waiting for the student.
All right, it looks like Shannon is responding to Angela's question. And can that parent be a teen sibling at the bus stop? Yes, they can. All right, any last questions?
I would just add, as sometimes after a presentation, questions come to people. I know that happens to me. So I know I speak for all of the principals. Don't hesitate to give us a call if you do have questions between now and next school year.
Wonderful, thank you. Thank you so much, everyone, for joining us this afternoon, evening. It's an absolute, I cannot wait for a new normal next fall and to see your students coming into school. We are here to take care of your most precious gift in the world, and that is that we will do everything to make sure your child has a successful transition. I have absolute faith in not only the panelists in this call today, but all of the staff in our district are here to support you, to support your child to be successful. And we can't wait to see their smiling face, the backpack on their back as they either get off of that bus or outside of your car, and we can be there to welcome them on the first day and beyond. So thank you very, very, very much for your time this evening. And again, if you have any questions, please feel free, if it's registration questions or technical questions around information about the process for registering, please talk to Anne. She is there for you. If you have questions about specific schools or the programs, our principals are here to support you as well. So thank you so much. We look forward to seeing you live in person someday very, very, very soon. I hope you have a great evening. Enjoy some sunshine. It's gorgeous out there today.